What's going on, guys? I'm Raymond and today I'm going to be telling you how and if you should become a scuba diver. Now before I get into today's video, on my channel I travel all around the world doing things like scuba diving, snorkeling, hiking, and much more, capturing it all with my GoPro cameras. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on new videos. Now, one of the most common questions I get asked is how do I become a scuba diver and is scuba diving right for me? Well, today I'm going to be answering all of these questions for you guys. To start off, I have been a diver since I was 13 years old, and over the past 3 years I've been diving all over the world in places like the Bahamas, Hawaii, and the Florida Keys, doing all kinds of different dives like shark diving and even cave diving. So first, let's talk about what scuba diving really is. You would be very surprised to know how many people out there don't really understand what scuba diving is. Most people only have a brief knowledge about it, and that is that you breathe air underwater with a tank. And technically those people are correct, but there's so much more to diving that most non-divers don't know. There are a lot of different variables that go into diving. Some of them are like decompression and buoyancy, which are all incredibly important to diving. Now the first thing to know is that there are a lot of different levels of scuba diving and scuba certification. The most common and first level of dive certification is open water diving. Now what open water diving allows you to do is dive in any body of open water around the world. They teach you to dive down to depths of around 60 feet, and they teach you the very fundamentals of scuba diving. The next level for divers is advanced open water certification. Taking the advanced open water diving course further enhances the skills that you learned while becoming an open water diver. This course prepares you for challenges that you will face underwater while also giving you a lot of new skills like advanced navigation. Now these two are the most common levels of scuba certification, and after these levels come a whole bunch of others like specialty diver, rescue diver, adventure diver, and dive master scuba diver. Now I'm not going to dive down into the details of all of them since there are so many, but since we've talked about the very basics of scuba certification, let's talk about if you should become a diver. Scuba diving is one of the greatest activities in the entire world. It allows you to explore the underwater world for an extended period of time. But with this activity come many dangers and things that you need to be prepared for, which basically means that diving isn't for everybody. First off, if you plan on becoming a scuba diver, the first question you have to ask yourself is, do I panic easily? If the answer is yes, then you probably should rethink about becoming a scuba diver. When you go scuba diving, you're entering an entirely different world where everything is different from above the surface. And trust me, the last thing you can do when you're 60 feet below the surface is panic. For any diver out there, there's always obstacles that you face while under the surface, whether that's problems with your equipment or even something like the sight of a shark frightening you. And as soon as you start to panic, everything gets 10 times worse. So the number one thing that you need to think about before becoming a scuba diver is if you panic easily. The next thing you need to do is think about if you are a good swimmer. Being a scuba diver doesn't necessarily take that much swimming effort because once you're under the surface, basically all you do is glide around. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to be at least okay at swimming. A lot of times while diving, you face strong current or even strong surge at the top of the surface, and knowing how to swim decently makes you get past these obstacles easily. But if you don't tend to panic easily and you're at least a decent swimmer, then becoming a scuba diver is definitely an option for you. Now that we've talked about if you should become a scuba diver, let's talk about what you have to do to get certified. Now first, you'll need to go to your local dive shop, and the most common dive shop owners are PADI. Now whether you use PADI or some other dive company, the process to get certified will all be the same. And now, after you contact your local dive shop, it's time to buy some gear. When getting certified, dive shops require you to have the bare essentials for scuba diving, which is a mask, fins, and snorkel. It is good to have other gear of your own like a wetsuit, but if you don't, then these 3 pieces of gear should get you by just fine. And after all of this happens, you'll finally be ready to get certified. Before you do anything with scuba gear, first you have to study for and take a test about scuba diving. This test will go over things like decompression, gear use, how not to get the bends and decompression sickness, and what not to do while under the surface. To pass this test, you need to get at least a 70% on it, but if you do all of your studying, then you should pass it with ease. After you pass your test, you'll finally be ready to hit the pool and test out your diving skills. In this pool, you will conduct 5 confined water dives along with your dive master. Here you'll do things like gear removal underwater, taking your air hose out of your mouth and putting it back in, and dropping your weights for an emergency ascent. Probably the most dreaded part of all of this, at least for me, was taking your mask off while underwater, putting it back on, and filling it up with air. In my opinion, that and removing your BCD while underwater and putting it back on were the most challenging parts. But if you're able to get through these challenges, then you should be able to get through all of the rest with ease. After you complete all 5 confined water dives and you're able to complete every challenge, you'll be ready to move on to the final stage, which is open water diving. Since I live in the Midwest of the United States, I went from diving in a pool to diving in a freshwater lake. But where you go after your pool dives entirely depends on where you live. Now for the open water dives, all you have to do is everything that you previously did while diving in the pool, but just presenting that you're able to do those tasks while in open water. And after you complete all of that, you are finally certified and you're ready to dive all over the world. Alright guys, now that pretty much sums up how to become a scuba diver and if you should become a scuba diver. Now if you guys enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button, comment down below what you think, and most importantly subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on new videos. I'm Raymond and I'll see you on the next video.